The 95th Oscars are tomorrow, hosted by Jimmy Kimmel once again. And I thought it would be a good time to give you my ranking of the 10 Best Picture nominees. I know a lot of people don't see any of these movies or go out of their way to at least, or they only see like one or two of these things. So I'm giving you this list as kind of a cheat sheet so you can prioritize which ones you should see if you haven't seen some of my top ones, and which ones you can definitely skip, starting with my number 10 pick. Let's get right into it. So, the worst of the Best Picture nominees, and the one you can definitely skip, is Triangle of Sadness, directed by Ruben Östlund. It's a 2.5 hour Eat the Rich parody that thinks it's way funnier and more clever than it is. Similarly to another Best Picture nominee in recent years, Don't Look Up, it just says the most basic things that we already know, and wants us to like think it's so groundbreaking. Rich people are assholes. Yes, so what? Like Don't Look Up was climate change is bad and people should listen to it. It sure is. Can you make an entertaining movie about that? Yeah, it just becomes preachy and uninventive. It parodies different things too, like male modeling, but Zoolander already did that like 20 years ago, and it was way funnier. It kind of parodies like foodie culture. There's a really disgusting food scene, and I'm like, The Menu did this way better last year. I just didn't see the point in it, and then even when it kind of shifted gears in the second act and became like Lord of the Flies, it even like half commits to that, and it's just like these like SNL sketches stitched together, and they called it a movie, and I'm like, no, thank you. I honestly got a headache after watching it, and I can't say 100% that this movie caused it, but I'm like 80% sure that it had a hand in it, because this was painful and not funny. Like a comedy that's not funny, it's tough. It's really tough, and I think that's what made it number 10 for me. So I'm honestly surprised at how low this one came out, because I thought I would like it a little bit more, but Steven Spielberg's movies have just not hit the same in recent years. I wasn't a huge fan of the West Side Story remake. That was just super unnecessary last year. And another unnecessary movie that we didn't need is the story, the semi-biographical depiction of his childhood. I read his biography. There's some interesting themes in it that like run through all of his movies that you can pick out, like divorce and broken homes and things like that. But to like actually dramatize that, it just didn't work. And I think part of that is the casting of Paul Dano and Michelle Williams, these two very specific character actors that usually play these extreme roles, and to put them in these like vanilla, Jewish parent roles. One's a scientist and one's an artist, and again, that could have been interesting, but it was just like it almost felt like a sitcom, like some of the hijinks there, and it's just like this isn't like worthy of a Best Picture nom, and it's not worthy of all this praise, honestly. And a lot of people have parents get divorced, and going back to Triangle of Sadness, so what? And they do influence his movies, but it's not like this film deals with that. Because this is before he got famous, and there's some good supporting parts from Judd Hirsch and David Lynch that are definitely like worthy of being talked about, but the rest was just kind of a chore. Felt like homework to sit through, and another one that's almost 3 hours. So I think this is another skip. You do not have to watch this one. So if there's one thing that the Oscars loves, it's biopics. And add an American icon like Elvis into the mix. And this one was basically tailor-made for the Oscars before it even was released. And Austin Butler is good. Don't get me wrong. He spent all the time, transforming himself and his voice even into getting into character. And he's probably going to win Best Actor. So, and I will not be mad at that if he does. He's deserving of it. But just in general, biopics have just become so formulaic and unnecessary at this point. Like, I would rather watch a documentary, and while you can't call this formulaic because Baz Luhrmann directed it, and he just throws everything at the wall and sees what sticks, and there's just frenetic editing, but that just distracted from Butler's performance. Unfortunately, it was like Brendan Fraser in The Whale, in that it could not, his good performance could not save the movie from itself, which is, it's a little disappointing, but that's where we are. And Tom Hanks as the Colonel was more like Colonel Sanders. I have no idea what he was doing, why he was cast as the villain in this story, but it was just so over the top and cartoonish. Could not take any of that seriously. And honestly, this is more of a biopic on the Colonel than Elvis. I mean, like, they do like a quick minute montage of his entire movie career. And yeah, it's again disappointing that this is how Elvis's life was handled on film. So that's why it's number 8. So this is who I was referring to when I was talking about a director I love, who's unfortunately past his prime, James Cameron, and the Avatar sequel. He's been making this thing for 13 years, and I'm on record as not loving the first Avatar, and I didn't love this one either. It's, the Na'vi are a cool technological feat. They will probably win Best Visual Effects. Again, deserving of that. Does that make this Best Picture of the year? Definitely not. This story has multiple problems that start from the annoying kids that inexplicably are the focus of this one. I guess to set up future installments, but just like Marvel, you have to make a good starting story first. And this one unfortunately doesn't. Zoe Saldana was sidelined, and she was one of the best parts of the first one. Was not a fan of that. Sigourney Weaver plays a teenager in this. It was just another weird decision. Cliff Curtis was cool. I love Cliff Curtis in basically anything that he's in. So again, this is just one of those technological achievements that I feel like we're just gonna forget. And except for any time he puts it back in theaters to break his own records. And this, when Scorsese said that movies are theme park rides now, this is exactly the type of thing that he was talking about. That this is what people go to see. They have no really value outside of that. And I wish Cameron was doing stuff like his old movies are some of my favorites of all time. T2, Aliens. This is not in that tradition of sequels that are better than the originals. So Navi, no thanks. I think I'm good in this world of Pandora from now on. And they recycled the same villain too. It was just lazy. You guys had over a decade to work on this script, and this is what we came out with. Monkey Boy, Tarzan. What is going on? Yeah, not a fan of this one. See it in theaters, I guess, for the visuals. I saw it in 3D, but besides that, can't recommend this one either. So this one's gonna get the most pushback from people because this is some people's top film of the year. This one had crazy hype going into it, people calling it Cate Blanchett's best performance, some people calling it a perfect film. This put me to sleep. I mean, it was just boring as hell. Cate Blanchett is great, and there's some great scenes in it that are memorable, but some of the creative decisions that they made to kind of undersell everything, to not close certain story elements, just left me wanting more. And that's not a great feeling to have after you're watching a movie. It just, all the choices amounted to a half-hearted take on cancel culture that wasn't as effective as Cate Blanchett's performance. So it's not your typical Oscar movie, so that's kind of cool, but at the same time, not as good as everyone's saying it is. All right, guys, I think that's going to be it for this video. I just ranked my 10th through 6th Best Picture nominees for the Oscars tomorrow. Let me know in the comments if you agree, if you disagree, what you would have ranked higher or lower. Follow me at misfit_minded wherever social media platforms are found, and have a good weekend.